Hi guys, this is Neha Gandhi Parmar and welcome to my channel. So in this new series called Motherhood Unplugged, I'll be talking about a lot of things related to motherhood, parenting, entrepreneurship, health and much more. So in the very first episode of this series, I thought I'll share a story that's very personal to me, something I've never shared before, and hence I thought it would be a perfect first episode story. That is my PCOD journey and how I overcame it. But before we jump into the topic, let me take you guys back a few years ago into my childhood. So, I have grown up in the 1990s, and I think that's one of the best decades to grow up in. But if you are a 90s kid as well, please let me know in the comments. I was an only child to my parents. My parents had a business, a pharmaceutical business that they were running. So they were usually very busy. It required a lot of traveling as well. And oftentimes I would feel very lonely because of that. More so when I saw my cousins and friends around me who had siblings, I felt something was missing. I remember asking my parents one day that I want a little brother or a sister, and they kind of just laughed it off because they had already made up their mind about having only one child, which was fair enough, but I was highly disappointed. Since that day, I had made up my mind that when I grow up and decide to have children, I'm going to have at least two because I don't want my child to face the same kind of loneliness that I did. So, now moving on, a few years later, when I was about 16 years old, I hit puberty. I was in my teenage years. Things started to change. I have always been a very lean, a very slim girl all my life in childhood. And then at 16, I suddenly started gaining weight. I had acne issues. My periods were irregular. I just felt very dull and lethargic. I didn't feel like myself. And what made it worse was when I would go to these social gatherings and functions with my family, and there would be relatives coming up to me saying that, Neha, what happened? We saw you a few months ago. We saw you last time. You were so slim and you've always been like that all your life, and now you seem to have put on a lot of weight. Is it because of all the fancy food you eat in Canada, all the pizzas and donuts? Which I don't even know how people think that when someone goes to a different country, that's all they eat. But that's what people would come and ask me. They would give me a lot of advice on what I should be eating, what I should not be eating for my skin issues. And the worst comment was someone came and asked me, so what's your jean size now? Is it a size 4 or a size 6? They were actually checking me out. Can you believe this? A 16-year-old, the time when you are coming out of your childhood bubble, that whole teenage phase is such a confusing age for any person. And then when you're trying to build your self-confidence, especially me, because I was always a very shy girl, then these kind of comments, these kind of personal attacks on my physical appearance just shattered my self-confidence completely. I went into my shell. I just didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't want to meet anyone. Then my mom took me to a dermatologist to get my acne checked, and she conducted some tests and she diagnosed me with PCOD. For those of you who don't know, PCOD is polycystic ovarian disease. I'm not going to get into the medical aspect of it because I'm not a doctor, but it basically means in layperson's term that there was a hormonal imbalance in my body. There were cysts forming on my ovaries, and as a result of that, I was gaining weight. I had acne issues. Some people even have excess hair, facial hair issues. And one thing she also told me is that I would have problems conceiving. I would have fertility issues in the future. And that kind of shook me because even though I was only 16, not planning to have kids anytime soon, but my childhood dream of having my own children, my own family when I grew up, what about that? I didn't want that to kind of be crushed. So I told my doctor, what can we do? What's the solution? And she said, don't worry, don't panic. It's not a life threatening issue. What we can do is we'll start you off on this birth control pill. You'll have to take one pill every day for the rest of your life until you decide to get pregnant. And I was like, I'm only 16, doctor. I'm not going to get pregnant for another 12 to 15 years at least. And you want me to take this pill every day until then? She said, yeah. And although I was so young, I might have not known much about life, and I come from a family of doctors. My mom is a doctor, my grandfather was a doctor. I have more doctors in the family. My parents have a pharmaceutical business, but one thing I was very sure on is that if something is not life-threatening, there's always an alternative way, a healthier, a more natural way to deal with it. That's what I asked my doctor, that is there any other possibility? I'm not going to take the pill. What's the other option? She said, well, the other option is that you make a complete lifestyle change. You lose that excess weight. It's going to be hard because of your PCOD issue. But if you lose it and if you maintain that healthy weight, if you maintain a balanced diet, a healthy diet, eventually your hormones will be balanced and your PCOD issue won't be an issue anymore. Your periods will be on track, and hopefully your fertility issues won't be a problem in the future. And I said, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm going to do now. Lucky for me, it was the end of grade 11. We had a 2-month summer vacation and we were going to India. So I told my parents that the day we land, I am going to go to a gym, get a membership and start working out. And they were very supportive. My parents have always been supportive. And when we landed, the very next day, my dad took me to this gym that opened up right next door. We got myself enrolled and I started working out very, very diligently. Every morning around 6:37 is when I would go to the gym, work out for 1.5 hours. I met with a nutritionist. She designed a diet plan as per my age and my needs and my PCOD and everything. And remember, I was only 16, so I did need that nutrition. I needed some extra nutrition because I was still a growing child. Keeping all that in mind, there was a diet designed which I followed to the T. I was on a vacation. I did not indulge in any junk food, any of my favorite foods, because I only had one goal in my mind, that before I go back to Canada and start my grade 12, which is a very crucial year, I want to be in a good place health-wise. Within a month and a half, I lost all that weight. To begin with, I was about 53 kgs, even though it might not seem a lot, but for someone who's a teenager, my height, it was on the higher side. And then I lost it and I was about 45 kgs after that, which was a good healthy range. I went back a completely changed person. It's just not about the physical appearance, it's how good you feel, how clean, how light, and how energetic you feel when you follow this balanced lifestyle. And I made sure that I followed this lifestyle for the rest of my life. I remember those relatives, the same relatives later on came up to me and said that, oh, you've lost a lot of weight, you look great, that's nice. And that feeling was just unexplainable. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not about the validation from other people. It's really not about that. It's about validating your own self. And you can do it. I know you can do it. I know there are so many girls. I know so many people who are suffering from it. And blaming your weight gain, blaming your acne on PCOD is not the solution. That's not going to help you. Just getting treatments done is not going to help you. There's no guarantee. The only guarantee you have, and that's in your hand, is your own health. And trust me, it's way easier to follow a balanced lifestyle at a younger age than what it is much later in life. I started at 16, which was much easier for me. Compared to if I had started it like maybe in my 20s or 30s, it would have been so much harder. But that doesn't mean it's too late. It's never too late. There's always a good time to start. And If you're suffering from something like this, then please take action now. Follow a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Don't go for these trends or fad diets and cut out carbs and whatever else, I don't even know, but follow a simple, basic meal plan. There are so many videos on YouTube nowadays that give you so many options, that share so much information for free, but it's in your hands. You have to take the action. So my only takeaway from this video is that if you are suffering from PCOD or PCOS, please start today. Now I'm 33 years old. I had my first baby when I was 30, and then the second baby a year and a half later. And I've had zero complications, zero problems conceiving. The biggest fear I had was my fertility issues. I've never even once been to a doctor because of that. My periods have been regular since about 17 years of age. And it all is a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight. But the point is that you have to start. It's never too late. So anyway, this was my story, and I hope this provided you some information, some inspiration. And if you know anyone who's suffering from this, please do share. Please take action. And thank you so much for watching. In my next video, I'll be sharing my birthing story with both my babies. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.